Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode 5 of In the Know with Mr. O. A little bit more of a laid-back episode as I am recording this at the end of a long week here at school. But kind of just want to get into something that isn't as structured, but is a little bit nuanced, but you could provide some structure to it. And that is, how do you as a leader, how do you as a teacher, how do you make connections with the people around you in an educational building? A lot of the times that, you're in a building and you're an educator, especially at the secondary level, you kind of forget that, people are human. We're all human beings, right? And we all have things going on in our lives. We all have things that we like, interests, right, that gauge us and make us get connected to other people. And sometimes we're so focused on covering the content that we realistically forget that those connections need to be made still. So it was very interesting. I was doing a walkthrough on a teacher today, and I was, sitting in the back of the classroom, and there was a little bit of a break in the action, so to speak. And as you could tell, I had my hoodie on, and I kind of we don't allow hats and hoods, but I kind of put my hood on, and I looked at the girl next to me, and I'm like, I'm going to pretend like I'm, one of the kids in the class and stuff like that, and actually made that comment. And it was just so funny because, the girl immediately started laughing. And that's what I've always done in my career. I've always, especially for the student's perspective, whether I've been a teacher, especially, or a principal, is I've always looked at things that the students are wearing, right? What's the in trend? What's the in fashion of the time, right? What's the hip new sayings? Like, oh, we're cooked, right? Or things like that. And I use it in a way that's relatable to students and that they use it, right? In an appropriate way, okay? And, immediately providing that humor and being comfortable with that, the students relate to you and they realize oh, okay, hey, this person isn't as bad to deal with, right? That way, if I have to dole out any discipline or do anything like that, a student is more willing to be honest with you and engage in things with you. And it's very, very similar to a teaching perspective as well. If I'm evaluating a teacher or there's things that I want them to change, I have to look at their strengths and I have to look at what they're good at and I have to compliment them on that and bring that out in them. And then that allows a conversation to happen in a transitionary way of really explaining what I need to see from them in the classroom. And then as a teacher, going back to one of the last episodes where I talked about taking the student inventory, that's where that inventory can help you. Because if you're not good at picking things out, you could read from that form that the students fill out and really provide that relational thing where it allows you time to research those topics if you don't know about them, to connect with them on that deeper level, because that's what matters here. Education is about connection. It's about learning, right? But learning through connection grows more, fosters more, and happens more. And I've learned that if you can just be friendlier with a lot of people, that you're always going to get a lot further, whether it's in business, whether it's in life, whether it's in education, right? And my dad always told me to stay educated on a multitude of topics. If you stay educated on a multitude of topics, you can get involved and invited into more conversations where you can learn even more in depth on those topics from the experts and the professionals in their field, right? Because, there's an old saying out there, and that is, jack of all trades, master of none. But the full saying is jack of all trades, master of none is still always better than a master of one. And that saying is very, very powerful. So in order to make those connections, identify with things that you like about whether it's what the person said, what they're wearing, right? What they've been involved in, sports, music. There's always something that you could connect with. And if not, take that inventory, learn from that inventory, and then use that to help you when you're in the classroom, in the field, walking around, or anywhere in the field of education. As always, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information in my profile, and take care. And thanks for tuning in for another episode of In the Know with Mr. O. See you guys. Bye-bye.